I'm Gene Grant, back at the table with this week's Line Opinion panelists. I'd like to get your take on hydraulic fracturing or fracking. And Tom, you know, there's a big open-ended question here about is this a good thing for New Mexico? But what I mean by that question is, you know, folks are making a little jingle, you know, that you can't, you know, if you have some land, folks come in to make you an offer. It doesn't seem like that bad of a deal, but it's very complicated. If one person says yes, neighbors are affected, entire areas are affected. So is it a good thing, and who is it a good for?
Well, you know, first off, I thought that the 3 interview segments were very interesting. They provided very different perspectives. I didn't agree with every single one of them, by the way, and I think that the Mora County one is, you know, to the basis of your question is you know, this is an area that was not even on anyone's radar as far as drilling, and all of a sudden, bam, outside interests come in, and they set up with all these restrictions.
That's right.
So, you know, it gets down to, though, the economy, which was very well, you know, was articulated very well by others in the on that panel. It is a challenge because, you know, you have some, you know, landowners who go, you know what, this is a pretty good deal for me, and you know, others who might not agree. You know, the county, you know, really taking countywide action with just to, you know, stop industry altogether, I don't think is the right idea, and I think that's why Mora County has overturned, you know, the bans, so to speak. But it's an encouragement, I think, for industry, regardless of what kind of industry it is, to go out and connect with the community and find out, okay, what is it that you want? What is it that you need? Because, you know, if counties like Mora County and others that are really, you know, impoverished, Luna County, for example, if they don't get some kind of economic relief, then yeah, the heritage, the families, they are not going to have a reason to be there anymore. And so industry provides a solution. I think industry needs to do a better, more effective job as far as saying, how can we come in and help you instead of just doing the bad thing of going in and, you know, knocking on doors saying, hey, we're here to help. How can we help?
For a quarter an acre or $1 an acre, or whatever the case may be. It's crazy. Interesting, Marcia, I was struck by the similarity for the 2 Navajo women and then also the folks from Mora County. And additionally, the quality of life issues, trucks, dust, roads, you know, noise, all that kind of thing. I think some of that stuff could be easy to dismiss sometimes if we're not living there. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that was, you could tell clearly that was a very big deal for folks. How impactful should all of that be?
I think that should be completely taken into consideration anytime anything is happening in any community. I mean, the reality is that there's families that are living right next to these, they're not even roads. They're saying that there are trucks that are just creating roads constantly. How dangerous is that for them? How dangerous is that for children trying to get to school? We don't know because we don't live there.
That's right.
But these things should be taken into consideration. And also the fact that they're talking about that there's places that they're less than half of a mile away from where people live, from children's schools.
Right.
I mean, I understand that there is job creation and that there is going to be an economic boost, but at the same time, what are the risks, and are the risks worth the reward?
Let me stay with you on that very note. The interview with Gwyneth, and we had a representative, of course, from the industry. She put it to him, is this stuff safe? When I say stuff, it's in quotes because we don't know what makes up a lot of the chemicals. They won't tell us. There's no way to get to it. Were you convinced that it's safer than maybe you thought it was after that interview, or?
I'm not convinced because I don't know what it is.
Right.
And I understand that there's industry patents that are involved, but at the same time, we don't know every single one of the chemicals that are being used.
Right.
We don't know if it's all water, is it less water, is it all sand, is it no sand? Because there are things that are just not being disclosed. And I think that especially the people that live in those communities, they deserve the disclosure because it is ultimately, if they're saying it's not in their water, it might be in their ground, or it might be in their water because we just don't know yet, and we don't know what's gonna happen 70 years from now or 60 years from now.
Right. Julia, would you agree with that about the disclosure? I would tend to agree with Marcia. Folks do have the right to know what's being pumped into their water right under their land. It would seem to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was scribbling furiously during the interview that Gwyneth did with NMOGA because they like to say things like, we have a great track record in New Mexico. And it, you know, the Santa Fe Reporter did a story about this in the not so distant past where we really looked at what the state does when there is a spill. And like a lot of things in New Mexico, I don't think the case is really there to say this industry is doing a great job. what's going on is we're doing a bad job at enforcement. We're doing a bad job at regulation. And so if there aren't rules to break, or if when you break the rules there's no consequence, I think that's a factor, at least in that discussion, that maybe it's being a little whitewashed by the Oil and Gas Association. And I do think the contents of the fracturing fluid is a big deal.
Right.
Anytime you are putting something in the ground, putting something near the water, using water and chemicals, it is entering our system. And there ought to be discussion about it. And I was heartened to hear that the industry is willing to have those discussions, but we've heard that kind of promise before, and it doesn't always go.
Daniel, the idea that one could just do this, meaning there are surface rights, there are mineral rights. If you owned a home in that Four Corners area and someone came to you and said, look, 2 feet under your floor, you don't own this. We can do whatever we want with this. How would that sit with you?
Well, but Gene, what you're trying to do is you're trying to go back and change long-standing law in New Mexico. That's the way it is. You buy the property rights. The property rights and the mineral rights are severed. That's the way it is. All of the talk about the trucks and everything, it's the same thing we heard with the wind turbines. The rancher said no, the neighbor said yes. Now the rancher who said no is angry because the rancher next to him is making money, it's making noise. I mean, this is all about progress. Should we be careful? Of course we should be careful. The fact that we have people standing out there saying they should disclose what these proprietary chemicals are, I mean, the argument can be made that that's the difference in how they get their job done. That is a proprietary process.
Well, let me ask you this. Usually proprietary defenses have to do with a competitive environment.
Right.
Meaning somebody else has a better mix of chemicals or something. But I don't think it's a competitive environment.
It's a total competitive environment because if my process is working faster, better, and I'm getting a better return on my investment, I have a greater opportunity to offer more money to the people I'm working with than the guy over there. So if I go out there and say that the cost of operating my well, see, this is where people fail to realize there's thousands of people involved in drilling a well and thousands of owners, and they're owning and they're getting royalties and they're getting overrides. And so if my process saves 3 cents, that's a bigger profit to the people I'm out there to go to. It makes me more attractive for people to come to. I think that the problem is you're going to have a hard time trying to get the courts to come back and say we're going to join the land and mineral rights together.
Is that impossible? I mean,
yes.
there's been calls for this for a while now.
It's not easy.
Right.
And the reason it's not easy is just look at water rights in New Mexico. I mean, if we can't agree on water rights, how on earth are we going to merge these other two things?
That's
So
right.
it's
That's a good
difficult
point.
task.
That's all the time we have. Join us online to hear what this week's line panelists have to say about calls for the removal of that plaque that marks the presence of Confederate soldiers in Old Town.